Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Russell Matthews and I'm back with another Canadian benefit update for you. Yesterday I made a video about my number one concern for Canadians who have been on the CRB, the CERB, or any of these new benefits. And that number one concern is that most Canadians aren't aware of just how much money they're going to be obligated to pay back come income tax time for 2020. And the reason it's such a concern, as I said in my previous video, is that so many Canadians live so close to the edge financially. A larger than expected payment coming due at tax time could set off a chain of dominoes that leave you in a worse financial position than if you had just not received any benefits in the first place. But when it comes to your day-to-day life, there's an even more pressing matter. And that's something that I've been calling the Canadian benefit blackout. For many people, there's going to be a period of time coming up very soon that they won't be able to apply for any money and they could be left out to dry by the government. So that is what we're covering in today's video, so that you can be prepared for this blackout to make sure that you're making your funds last so that you and your family can be in an okay position. But before we get too deep into it, if you're new to the channel, hey, how's it going? It's nice to meet you. My name's Russell and I post videos about investing, personal finance, and business, and the overall goal of the channel is to bring high quality information to people as quickly as possible so that they can set themselves up to live a more healthy and wealthy financial future. If that sounds like something that you'd be interested in, or you just want to stay up to date with all of these Canadian benefits, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. I'm coming out with new videos pretty much every day, so if you're interested in it at all, you're going to hear all the news you need to know from me first. And while you're down there, hit the like button, because one click of that like button spreads this videos to potentially hundreds of people who could seriously need the information. Thanks for doing that, and now let's talk more about this Canadian benefit blackout. Most of you already know that Monday, October 12th was the first day that you could apply for the CRB, and Monday, October 5th was the first time you could apply for the CRCB and the CRSB. And as of now, Canadians are starting to see that money going into their accounts. And I'm sure for many of you, that was a huge relief. With these benefits almost getting stuck in the House of Commons, almost getting stuck in Senate, and all the problems that the CRA had with their applications on launch day, it must feel like a miracle that the money's even in your account in the first place. But if you're not aware of and planning for this benefit blackout, then that feeling of relief probably isn't going to stick around. Let me explain what I'm talking about. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you probably already know that the CRB, CRSB, and CRCB are spanning from the end of September 2020 to the end of September 2021. Of course, that's a one-year period. So you could assume that these are the benefits that we're going to be able to receive for the next year. This has been the government's plan, right? They're bringing in these benefits and they're going to cover us for the next year, and the citizens need to use it in a way that will cover them effectively for that full year. And since this legislation has become official, we can probably assume that there won't be any other benefits coming down the pipeline because, hey, we've already got our plan out for the year, now you just use it how you will. Or at least that's what I think the government's saying. But one key point to remember is that while the period for the CRB could be from September to September over the course of a year, you're only able to apply for 6 months worth of time in that year. And this is where the problem lies. If you claim your CRB for every single 2-week period, week after week after week, then you're going to run out after 6 months. Based on what I said before about the government giving us everything they're going to give us for the year, that means you've got 6 months of no income and no support from the government. Of course, in order to even be eligible for the CRB, you need to be showing that you're looking for work. But when it comes to the job market, there are no guarantees. Nobody has a crystal ball and nobody knows where the world's going. You never know. 6 months down the line, the job market could even be worse than it is now. And if you haven't managed to get a job in those 6 months, then no job, no support. It can kind of be a scary situation for a lot of Canadians. And if you're in that crummy situation where you need to apply for every single 2-week period right now, then you're going to be running out of your benefits entirely by March 2021, right in the middle of the winter. And this is when your benefit blackout would start. But there is a way that you could potentially stretch out your benefits in order to slightly cover you for the entire year, as opposed to covering you fully for half the year and nothing for the blackout. And this is my number one recommendation for people who don't have that much faith in their ability to get a job given the current situation. Instead of applying for every single period as they come, I recommend only applying for every other period. You don't need to apply for CRB or CRSB or CRCB consecutively. You can actually apply whenever you're eligible and whenever you choose to. This means you could take that 6 months of time and spread it out for an entire year if you're only claiming every other period. This way you'd at least be getting some support for the entire year. But I know there are flaws with this strategy. First of all, if you're the only one in your household who's receiving benefits, if you only receive one period per month, that would be a total of $900 to live on for that entire month. And that's a pretty difficult thing to do. With the need to pay your mortgage or pay rent, and even with the increasing food prices, that $900 doesn't really go very far these days. And this may sound a little bit redundant, but if you're going to be doing this strategy and you're going to be doing it without supplementing your CRB income with a part-time job, then you're going to have to make some lifestyle sacrifices. Of course, I know this is all easier said than done, but this is just my suggestion for you to consider. I know that most of you are already scrimping and saving wherever you can just to make your money stretch as far as possible. And I think that's a good thing. The idea of trying to save money wherever you can will only help your financial future. But I think for most Canadians, when they're thinking about how can I save more money, they're approaching it from the wrong mindset. There are financial gurus out there who tell you, hey, you need to not buy Starbucks coffee in the morning. You should make your coffee at home, only have 20 cents for your coffee each time. And that's a good idea, but it's not the entire picture, and it's not even the most effective way that you can save your money. What do you spend more money on in a month? On your food and your coffee and these sort of small discretionary expenses? Or do you spend more money on your housing, your rent, or your mortgage? Chances are it's the housing side of things that are really causing you problems. Not the dollar here, dollar there sort of things that most people talk about when they say making a budget and counting their dollars. In order to decrease your monthly living expenses, it makes way more sense to tackle this housing problem than to tackle the other side of things. But I can already hear you guys saying, Russell, I already am locked into renting. I'm already locked into my mortgage. I can't move to a cheaper place. And whenever possible, moving to a cheaper place is a good idea, but I know that there are people who are locked in to their current situations. Don't worry, there's a way for you to save money on your housing too, but it's going to take some small lifestyle sacrifices. I'm talking about a concept that's become popular over the past couple years, and that's house hacking. I'm going to make a more detailed video about how this can help you throughout the whole COVID crisis, but for now, here's a quick summary. The basic concept is that you rent out a portion of the space you live in order to help subsidize your rent or mortgage payments. You could do this by renting out a room to a long-term tenant or a roommate, or you could even list it on a short-term rental service like Airbnb. Most people forget that that's how Airbnb started out. It was just basically a couch surfing app where you could drop into people's places, sleep there for the night, and then be out the next day. Options like that are still available. You can put your couch on Airbnb. You can put your guest bedroom on Airbnb. These are all strategies that I think you should at least consider when you're thinking about how can I live on less money per month. And I really think that's something that a lot of people are talking about these days. To you, it might sound a little bit drastic, but drastic times call for drastic measures, right? If your rent is $1,200 and you can rent out some of your space for, let's say, $600, all of a sudden your monthly payment is dropped $600 and bringing you to a flat even $600 per month. All of a sudden, the prospect of only living on $900 a month becomes a little more plausible. That's how I've chosen to deal with this financial crisis. In my line of work in real estate sales, you never know when your next paycheck's going to come in. So I love to have that security of somebody helping me to pay for my living expenses. But hey, that's just a suggestion from me, some random guy who you may or may not have met on the internet. It may not work for everybody, but I figured I'd share what I'm doing to help myself out with you in case it could help at all. But I'm curious about what you think. Does it make sense to you to collect your benefits only once a month instead of twice a month in order to spread the benefits out for the full year so you're not trapped in that CRB blackout period? Or are you in the tough situation where you need that $1,800 every single month and you're not going to go without it? Different strategies will work for different people, but I want to know which one you're doing. Let me know down in the comments. And if you haven't done so already, hit that like button and turn it blue, because just one click of the button could share this to thousands of people that might need the information. And as always, if you found this video helpful or it just made you think, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. If anything changes about the benefits or anything about Canadian news that could affect your money, you're going to hear it from me first. And with all of that said, thanks so much for watching. I really hope some of the information in this video has helped you out at least a little bit, and I'll see you next time.